Hey, what's good everybody? My name's Jigs, and today I want to talk about the fundamentals surrounding the corner, which involve interacting with a cornered opponent and being cornered yourself. The first point I want to go over is the concept of stage control. The closer to the center of the stage you are, the more options you have available. Yada yada jargon that hasn't actually helped a single person get better at the game, but today I want to go into more detail so it actually makes sense. There are a ton of factors that go into your positioning that include the advantages and disadvantages, so I'll use a clear-cut example that abides by most of the common rules, being Marth. If Marth hits you while he's cornered, you get sent back to center, but if he gets hit, he ends up off stage, which is the first and most simple thing that puts Marth at a deficit. The second thing is that Marth has no room to move backwards, so he only has vertical mobility to work with in the interaction bubble. This means the advantaged player has full horizontal and vertical freedom with their movement, so they can move around their unreactable bubble freely and make themselves ambiguous to hit. If the pressurer has big hitboxes, they can also cover attempts to take back the stage with passive hitboxes that are not directly contestable. All of these things make the Marth's goal to get back to center stage, which sounds obvious on its own, but there's a lot that goes into it. Since the player in the corner is on their back foot, I think it'd be a lot better if I went over how to pressure first, using the stage control lesson for context. First of all, the most basic thing you want to do while corner pressuring is prioritize the area around your burst range. The goal should not be to run at the opponent and guess what they do, that's just throwing away your advantage. You want to give the run-up unreactable burst option the threat of being there, but you don't want to pull the trigger most of the time unless you have a read. To do that, you play around this range and play really passive, with a strong intent to hit the opponent when they attempt to make it back to center. Depending on your character, you may go about this in a bunch of different ways. As Crom, at earlier percents you probably will be a lot more inclined to directly pressure them. This is because a bunch of his moves at lower percents offer really safe and direct pressure that give him a lot of advantage no matter if they hit or not. If the opponent is at kill percent, he specifically wants to hit a jab, an F-tilt, a back air, or maybe a dancing blade. There's a lot less ambiguity using fewer moves, so instead of constant shield pressure, it's more of a whack-a-mole game where you're slowly waning them off of shielding so you can catch the specific option with the killing blow. Using some grabs to reset the situation a few times can also set up in the kills and condition them to stop taking their time. Keep in mind that they have to get past the ledge trapping phase to even get back into the corner. That's just one character and their specifics, but it can go a lot of different ways depending on the character. Keep in mind that you still need a legitimate threat of hitting the opponent, otherwise you'll make your ambiguous movement obvious and it'll be really easy for the opponent to just hit you out of the corner. Another thing to note is that if you play a fast stickbug character like Sheik who doesn't have huge hitboxes, you're going to be a lot more movement centric with a lot more whiff punishing, and when the opponent refuses to leave the corner, that's when you grab them. As a final tip, you should shield if you expect a huge burst option out of the corner. This can be good if your character has a more practical out of shield punish than a whiff punish, while also being safe. If the opponent grabs you out of the corner, they got it. In really buttered terms, it's literally the only thing it covers. Before I go into the other side of the coin, being in the corner, I want to talk about why Smash Ultimate breaks the fundamentals a good bit, which can lead to corner camping. In favor of the player in the corner, they cannot be crossed up, which can limit certain characters' options, but that's not really a huge deal. The other thing is that some characters have crazy strings across the stage out of the corner, which makes it more favorable to be in, while getting hit in the corner neuters the opponent's ability to combo you.
No way!
Not to mention recoveries being really good, and the ledge also being super good, so getting hit off stage doesn't really give you enough of a deficit to care. And the main thing is that some characters have incredible poking tools out of the corner, which makes them play something resembling neutral rather than a disadvantage. The biggest offender of this is Byleth, as she's got the long stick and the uncounterplayable, and even if you have a good kit for dealing with those, her up B is designed to reversal you, not to mention the Nair doing the same thing. And the ledge stall stuff really makes her not give a shit if she gets love tapped. Byleth down tilt in the corner might be the single most egregious thing I've ever seen in the video game. All of the things that I mentioned make the corner a lot more cozy than it should be, which will lead to players camping and taking their sweet time before having a reason to leave. Combating this involves the stuff I was talking about before, but you might have to play a lot more of a drawn-out game or go for risks you wouldn't have to otherwise to beat it. Now I'll talk about how to escape the corner against a good corner pressurer. You usually want to see how pushy the opponent is being, and play accordingly. If they're really trying to maintain stage control and are just waiting to react to your stuff, you should try to push and take space, and maybe swing at a spot if it becomes obvious. The last thing you want to do is give reactable keys for them to hit, since it's what they're looking for. Taking space is a lot of empty hops, dashes, and shield, as those are universal unreactable options that will force them to go for some sort of read to hit you. If they're pushing you with close quarter pressure, you need to do a more direct option to get out of it, which might be an out of shield option, rolling, or jumping. The main thing that's most important is the time at which you leave your shield, since they either have to call it out or grab you. Using the space you have available, even if it's just vertical space, can be good to make it ambiguous when you try to leave. The biggest thing you should do is play out your whole disadvantage and scout out all of the available options. This involves knowing when swinging is a good answer to pressure, or when taking your time is favorable. Don't get stuck doing the same thing and try to really force the opponent to make you leave. One quick tip is to avoid rolling straight out of the corner, since most players are ready to passively hit it. Force them to call out something else, and if you have the space, try a dash-in roll-in to mess with the distance. This forces the opponent to read where you're rolling, since it makes it ambiguous. Another funky one is the empty hop roll-in. Just don't do this against Terry. You could also try rolling towards the ledge. Who's gonna hit that? Thank you guys for watching, and if you ever get frustrated at the Byleth who just won't leave their cozy little hideout, nobody else can beat it either.